Most people spend their lives chasing something: more money, more success, more respect, more possessions. And for most people, that feels completely normal. After all, that's what everyone else is doing. But more than 2,000 years ago, there was a man who looked at the world around him and began to wonder if everyone was running in the wrong direction. His name was Diogenes. Some people thought he was a genius. Others thought he was completely insane. Diogenes lived in ancient Greece, during a time when Athens was one of the most important cities in the world. The city was filled with merchants, politicians, soldiers, and philosophers. People came there looking for success, looking for a better life. And everywhere Diogenes looked, people seemed busy trying to get ahead. A merchant wanted a bigger fortune. A politician wanted more influence. A respected man wanted more admiration. No matter how much people gained, they always seemed to want something else. It was as if nobody ever reached the finish line. The more Diogenes watched people, the more it bothered him. One question kept returning to his mind. What if happiness wasn't waiting in the next achievement? What if people were spending their lives chasing things that could never truly satisfy them? Most people would think about a question like that for a few minutes and then move on. Diogenes couldn't. The idea stayed with him, and eventually it changed the way he lived. While everyone around him was trying to gain more, Diogenes became interested in needing less. He stopped caring about status. He stopped caring about impressing other people. He stopped worrying about things that seemed to consume everyone else. The less he depended on those things, the freer he felt. People noticed, and they didn't know what to make of him. Some laughed, some admired him. Most were simply confused. One story from this period became famous throughout Greece. According to ancient writers, Diogenes was carrying a simple bowl used for drinking water. As he walked through the city one day, he noticed a young boy kneeling beside a fountain. The boy scooped water into his hands and drank. No bowl, no cup, nothing. Diogenes stopped and watched. Then he laughed. The boy had just shown him something. Even the bowl wasn't necessary. According to the story, he threw it away on the spot. Whether the story happened exactly that way, nobody can know for certain. But people remembered it because it captured something important about Diogenes. He was constantly asking himself a question that most people never ask. Do I really need this? Or have I simply become used to having it? As the years passed, stories about him spread further and further. The stranger his behavior seemed, the more people talked about him. According to one famous story, people noticed something unusual one afternoon. Even for Diogenes, he was walking through the city carrying a lantern. A lit lantern. The only problem was that it was the middle of the day. The sun was shining brightly. There was no need for a lantern. People stopped to watch. Some laughed. Others followed him through the streets. Eventually, someone called out, "Diogenes, what are you doing?" He stopped walking, raised the lantern, looked around at the crowd, then replied, "I'm looking for an honest man." The crowd burst into laughter. Some thought he was joking. Others felt insulted. But Diogenes wasn't smiling. He believed many people spent their lives pretending to be happy, pretending to be satisfied, pretending to be someone they weren't. In his view, true honesty was rare, not because people lied to others, because they lied to themselves. Stories like this made him impossible to ignore. Some people loved him, some hated him, but everyone seemed to have an opinion. According to another story, a wealthy man once invited Diogenes into his home. The house was beautiful, everything was expensive. The owner was proud of it. Before Diogenes entered, the man warned him not to dirty the floors. Diogenes looked around carefully, then looked at the owner. According to the story, he spat in the man's face. The owner exploded with anger, but Diogenes remained calm. In his view, there was no dirtier place in the house than the owner's arrogance. Stories like that spread quickly, and each new story made Diogenes even more famous. Then something happened that sounds almost unbelievable. At some point in his life, Diogenes was captured by pirates. Ancient Greece could be a dangerous place. Pirates often kidnapped people and sold them into slavery. Diogenes became one of their prisoners. Eventually, he was taken to a slave market. Most people would have been terrified. According to ancient writers, Diogenes remained completely calm. One potential buyer asked him what skills he had. Diogenes replied, "I know how to govern men." It was a strange answer for someone standing in chains. Yet it was exactly the kind of answer people expected from him. Even as a slave, he seemed impossible to intimidate. Even when his circumstances changed, his mindset remained the same. Years later, stories about Diogenes had spread far beyond Athens. Eventually, they reached the ears of a young ruler named Alexander. At the time, Alexander was becoming one of the most powerful men in history. His armies were conquering city after city. His empire continued to grow. People admired him. People feared him. Yet despite everything he had achieved, he became curious about Diogenes. Who was this strange philosopher everyone kept talking about? How could a man with almost nothing seem happier than people who had everything? Eventually, his curiosity got the better of him. Alexander decided to meet him. News spread quickly. Crowds gathered. Everyone wanted to see what would happen. The most powerful man in Greece was about to meet its most unusual philosopher. When Alexander arrived, he found Diogenes resting in the sunlight, completely relaxed, completely unconcerned. Most people would have jumped to their feet. Most people would have bowed. Diogenes didn't move. Alexander approached him and made an incredible offer. "You may ask me for anything you want." The crowd fell silent. Imagine hearing those words. A ruler who could offer wealth, land, power, security, anything. Most people would have spent hours deciding what to ask for. Diogenes only needed a moment. He looked up, then looked at the shadow Alexander was casting, and said, "Move a little to the side." For a second, nobody reacted. Then Diogenes added, "You're blocking my sunlight." The crowd couldn't believe what they had just heard. The most powerful man in the world had offered him anything, and all he wanted was his sunlight back. For a moment, nobody knew how Alexander would respond. Then he laughed, because for perhaps the first time in his life, he had met someone who genuinely wanted nothing from him. Nothing. His wealth meant nothing. His power meant nothing. His status meant nothing. Everything Alexander had spent his life chasing seemed unimportant to Diogenes. According to ancient writers, Alexander later said, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." Whether those exact words were spoken, nobody can know for certain. But the story survived because it captured something people instantly understood. One man had conquered the world. The other had conquered himself, and that's probably why people still remember Diogenes today. Most people believe happiness is waiting somewhere ahead, after the next promotion, after the next purchase, after the next success. Diogenes challenged that idea. He believed freedom begins when your happiness no longer depends on things you don't have. That doesn't mean giving away everything you own, and it doesn't mean rejecting success. The lesson is much simpler than that. Take a moment and ask yourself, are you chasing something because it truly matters to you? Or because everyone around you is chasing it too? More than 2,000 years later, the world still remembers Diogenes. Not because he owned the most, not because he achieved the most, not because he conquered the most, but because he understood something many people spend their entire lives trying to learn. Sometimes the person with the least is the person who is truly free.